How's it everyone, this is Lolcohol, and in today's video I'm going to be introducing you to the Path of Exile 2 trade site, teaching you how to use it to find the items that you want to buy. So when you first log on to the Path of Exile 2 trade site, which I will link in the description, it is a bit overwhelming. There's all these various search fields that you might not understand, but I'm going to break it down for you. If you prefer a written guide or you just want another reference, you can go over to Mobilytics and have a look at this written guide. This will also be linked in the description. But to start out, let's break it down from the top. We have this first search bar over here. This is our primary search bar. Over here, you can type the names of specific items or uniques or anything that you might want in the game. So let's say I'm looking for a fox shade quilted vest. I can type that in and then click it. And then at the bottom down here, just hit search. And then all of these listings that come up are people that I can message to buy what I want. All you need to do is you click this direct whisper button. It'll send a message to the other player in game with the request. So over here, we have the price that the person selling the item is listing it for. We also have their account name and we have the time that it was listed. So this one was listed 3 months ago and they want one exalted orb. You click that direct whisper button, it'll message them and say, hey, I want to buy this item from you for this price. Now moving down from there, we have our type filters. Over here, we have item category. And over here, you can select the type of item that you're looking for. So any weapon, one-handed melee, claw, dagger, all of the various items, also body armors, helmet, gloves, boots, shields, belt, and even skill gems, support gems, meta gems, everything. So if you want to be more specific, you can search like that. Then we have item rarity. So if you, let's say, only want to buy a white stellar amulet, for example, you can select item rarity normal. That way, the only results that show up would be white bases. You can also select magic, rare, unique, or any non-unique. Any non-unique is also helpful. Let's say you're looking for something that has 150 life and all the results that show up are just unique items. You can select this and it'll show you instead just items that are not unique. Under that, we have the item level. So if you're looking for an item with a specific level, let's say there is a modifier that only appears on items that have an item level of 84, you can set the minimum or maximum. So I could say 84, like that, and then the item quality. So if it is a gem or body armor or weapon, you can select this and set that value. From here, over to the right, we have the stat filters. This is the most important thing that you need to understand. Over here, you can select whichever modifier that you want. So if you want mana, life, any kind of damage, all of the modifiers that are possible are listed over here. Now, I'm going to show you one of the most important things for the trade site. When it comes to modifiers, if you do not type in the exact wording, often the modifier you're looking for will not come up. So if I'm looking for, let's just say, let's find something that has a bit of an odd wording. So let's say physical damage to attacks. Let's say I type in increased physical damage to attacks and it doesn't come up. What do you do here? Well, if you look at your keyboard, over to the left of your one button, you can press shift and then that button, and it'll give you this little tilt. It's a little squiggle, and this will put the search into fuzzy mode. So now what you can do, instead of typing in the exact wording, any parts of what you type will match the various modifiers. So if I were to say type in just fizz dam, nothing comes up. But if I put in that tilde, I can go fizz, dam, and then all of these fizz equal damage to attacks mods pop up. So this tilde is really important. If you can't remember the exact wording, you might type in life leech % or something like that. It won't come up, but you put in life leech % with the tilde, and now you see all these modifiers. So don't forget about that. So let's do an example search for a pair of boots. So what we can do is we're going to go item category. Let's type in boots like that. And let's say any non-unique boots. So rare, normal, whatever. And then which modifiers are we looking for? So on a pair of boots, we're probably looking for movement speed. So we could type in movement speed, so percent increase movement speed like that. Now, if we want to add other modifiers we're looking for, we just click plus add stat filter. Click that and we can select, let's say I want maximum life. And then let's mix it up a bit. So I want 2 out of 3 resistances. It doesn't matter if I want fire, cold, or lightning. I just want at least 2 resistances. So how do I do this? Well, underneath add stat filter, there is add stat group. And if you click this, a number of other things pop up. So there's all these different search terms. We have and, not, if, count, weighted sum. I'm just going to discuss the first few. So and is what this stat filter defaults to. It's saying I want increased movement speed and increased maximum life. Not is saying I do not want this mod. So show me an item with increased movement speed and let's say maximum life, but not, I do not want to see maximum mana specifically. Then we have probably the next most important one is count. So count is saying, I'm going to put in 10 modifiers that I potentially want, and I want to see at least X number of these or a maximum number of these. So in this example of our boots, let's say I want at least 2 resistances, and it doesn't matter if it is cold, fire, or lightning, or chaos. So I can go cold resistance, fire resistance, lightning resistance, and let's also just say chaos resistance like that, and count 2. So it will have to have at least 2 of these modifiers. For now, because this is a beginner's guide, I'm not going to go over if and weighted sum. Those ones are a bit more complicated, but let's just start out with this basic search. So we have our movement speed boots, and it has life, movement speed, and resistances, and it must not have mana. So we can go search. Let's click this, and here come up all of our results. You can see there are over 10,000 matches. And here, this is the price, 2 regals. And here we see these have 25% movement speed, a decent amount of life. However, what if we want specific amounts of these different modifiers? So let's say I want to have boots. They must have 35% movement speed. So in movement speed, over here on minimum, I'm going to set this to 35. And then let's say I want at least 100 life. And then let's also say I want 25 of any 2 resistances. So from there, I can hit search. And now we have a fewer number of results. You see, we have only 437, but these are more matching to what we need. We could further specify this and maybe say these boots must also have chaos resistance, but this is how a basic search would work. From here, you can then message these people. One thing I will suggest, when it comes to items, try not to be overly specific initially. Both when buying and selling, don't be hyper specific. As you get better at the game, you'll be able to identify which modifiers are the most valuable on that specific gear piece. So let's say on boots, movement speed is very high value, and resistances might also be very high value. So you don't want to search too many modifiers simultaneously, especially on league start. So don't be too specific. Instead, what you should do is build it up from the ground up. So let's say I want these boots with movement speed, life, and chaos resistance. This is the bare minimum. And we can see here are 32 results. If I were to start adding in, let's say like stun threshold and mana, and let's say like this, suddenly there's only 3 results. And if you get even more hyper specific, like it must also have intelligence, you might actually come up short with your results. So start out with a few mods and build it up, see the prices, and work your way from there. So that is a basic search. You can also remove anything like this just by clicking these little X's. Now also at the top of the page, we have the different leagues. So here you can select if you're playing standard or hardcore. When there is a new league, it'll also show up here. And then you can also, over to the right, search for people who have listed items, but they are online in-game. That is the default. Then you can also search for any. So any is all results that will show up whether or not the player is online to trade with you now or not. That is generally reserved for more hyper-specific searches where you're looking for a very, very special or unique item that is hard to acquire. You might do an any search to find someone selling that item, or maybe just to better establish the price of an item that you might be trying to sell. Let's move on to equipment filters. In this section, we have damage, attacks per second, crit chance, physical DPS, elemental DPS, armor evasion, energy shield, block, spirit, rune sockets. So these are further specifications about the item you might want to buy. This is particularly useful when buying weapons, or if you are buying a body armor that needs to have a specific amount of, let's say, armor or energy shield. So let's say we are looking for a quarterstaff and we want it to have at least 600 physical DPS. So we can just go quarterstaff and then physical DPS like that and hit search. And here come all the results. So we have 700 results. That is quite a lot. So if you are playing a crit-based build, you could also say, I want my staff to have at least 14% critical strike chance. And then you start seeing results that are more tailored to what you might need. You could also do this, let's say you're playing an elemental bow build. You could say, I want a bow with at least 250 elemental DPS and see all the results. Now, when you're buying weapons, you might also want to say, I want to see only weapons that don't have any rune sockets. So you could say maximum of 0 rune sockets in my bow, and I want 200 elemental DPS. So these ones do not have sockets. Further down, we can also search by energy shield. So I could say I want a body armor with 900 energy shield, and it has to be a body armor like this. Search. There we go. You can see all of these body armors. And you can combine this with the stat filters over here. So you could say, I want cold and fire resistance as well. So all of these results will show up. Now, if you want to make a new search, you can just click this clear button over here and it'll give you a fresh search. Next, we have the requirements, which is level, strength, dexterity, intelligence. If you're looking for a specific weapon that can only be used after level 20, you could say, it must be at least level 20, or I'm looking for a weapon that is not higher than level 20 required. So if my character is only level 15, I want to be able to use it. And then the same thing with strength, intelligence, and dexterity. Next, we have the waystone filters. So if you're looking for a waystone tier 14, you can say tier 14 like that, and then search, and it'll only show tier 14 waystones and also the waystone drop chance. And then we have the next section, which is miscellaneous. This is actually quite useful for some things. So we can select here gem level, area level, identified, mirrored, gem sockets, stack size, corrupted, alternate art, and then unidentified tiers and barrier sacred water. Most important here is probably going to be gem level. So if you're looking for a level 20, let's say ice strike, you can do that. Search, all results will be level 20 ice strikes. Now these are all corrupted. So how do we see one that's not corrupted? Further down over here, we have corrupted. We can just go click this, change it from any to no. So 2 results, we have our level 20 ice strikes, and we can also even specify the amount of quality that it has. So we could say it must have item quality 20 like that, and then do a search. So the other modifiers over here, identified, this one could be something that you search for. So let's say identified, no. And let's say we're looking for Hand of Wisdom in action. So you want to take a gamble and you want to buy some unidentified Hand of Wisdom in action to identify it yourself. So these are all the ones that are listed, unidentified. Maybe you buy this, see if you can get one that is well rolled. So that is what the identified is for. After that, we have some useful ones, which are trade filters. So you can check seller account. Over here, you can type in a specific account name. So if I was looking for Lolcohol 4777, that is my account. And I could go search. Let's see if this person is selling anything. So these are all the items I had listed. So if you want to see what a specific player has listed, you can go ahead and do it like that. Then a very, very important one over here. We have listed. Listed allows you to specify the time which an item was put up for trade. Often what happens in Path of Exile is that people will put something in a sell tab and then they will just ignore any messages they get about that item because maybe it's not worth their time to leave the map and sell it. In reality, they should take that out so that people don't waste their time messaging them, but you know, people are how they are. So what you can do instead is if you want to search for more recently listed items, you can select it here. And this is a good way to get around getting ignored. So if I'm looking for, let's say, Fox Shade, this is a much less popular item. So these ones 3 days ago, 3 months ago, 6 days ago, I 100% guarantee if I message these people who listed it 3 months ago, they will ignore me. So what we can do instead is go listed, let's say 3 hours ago. Did anyone put a Fox Shade? Yeah. So these people are much, much more likely to respond to a trade because they've just put it in there. They might be starting out and they're looking for a bit of currency. So don't forget the listed. And then over here, buyout of fixed price, just leave it with buyout of fixed price. And then buyout price, this one is also very useful. So you can set this to the listing price of the item. So what you can do is set it to Exalted or Divine Orbs, Exalted Orb, Divine Orb, Alchemy, Chaos Orb. Often people will list things for strange amounts or the trade website doesn't actually know the value of different currencies. So it might think that a Divine Orb is worth 10 Exalted Orbs. So it'll show a whole lot of listings of an item and then the first 10 listings offer 1 Divine and then the next listing is like 15 Exalted Orbs or something like that. So if you want to just search by Exalted Orbs so that you don't get ripped off, you can set it like that. There's some other useful things we can do on the search page, and let me just demonstrate with a simple example. Let's say we are looking for a Temporalis, but we want a really, really well-rolled one. So we're going to select Corrupted, no, hit search, and here are all the results. Now, if I'm looking for one that has skills have negative 4 seconds to cool down, what I can actually do is just click this modifier, and it's going to organize from highest roll to lowest roll. So if you click it again, it'll flip it around. So here we have a perfect Temporalis. You can do this for any of the modifiers. So I can click that and it'll show me the highest roll. You click it again, it'll show you the lowest roll. You can also adjust these so that it looks a bit different depending on what you prefer. And you can also click show filters or hide filters to change it. So something else very useful you can do is hover over the modifiers to see the various roll ranges of each modifier. But then let's say we want to specify each of these. So instead of going back to search listed items and typing it out manually, what we can do is there's this little button down here. If we click this, it's going to bring up all the modifiers that Temporalis has. So we can go from here and say, I want a Temporalis with 150 energy shield at least. And then we can click this and see what is the best one that we can get. You can do this for all items or especially useful for unique items. If we are looking for, let's say, a Temporalis with -4 to -4, what we can do is do that search. Nothing shows up, but we can also look offline. So let's see, are there any offline like that? No. Well, if we want, we can click this button down here, which is Activate Live Search. Click that button, and then it is going to start this live search. So the moment anyone puts up the item we are looking for on the trade site, it's going to make a little ping sound, and you'll know, oh, that item that I want is now listed. You can message that person for that specific item. Now, up at the top, we also have the bulk item exchange window. This is a place you can use to buy specific stackable currency and fragment and essence type items. With the introduction of the currency exchange, this is far less used than it used to be. It does still have some use though. So let's say we are looking to buy, I have, let's say, a Chaos Orb over on the right. I have a Chaos Orb and I want to buy a Divine Orb. So we can click this and click that and then hit search. And then we can see the price that people are selling their Divine Orbs for Chaos Orbs. Now, we can also, further down here, we can set stock count to whatever number we want. So I have, let's say, 3,000 Chaos Orbs and I want to buy 100 Divine Orbs. So I don't want to see anyone who only has like 5 Divine Orbs. I can set this to, let's say, 100 Divine Orbs. So these people shows how many they have. They have 150 Divine Orbs. So I can then click this, let's say contact, and then it's going to bring up this slider. So I can say, I want to buy your, let's say, 100 Divine Orbs for my 3,700 Chaos Orbs. And it's going to translate it automatically into their language. So you can click that, click Direct Whisper, and it'll send a message to them in-game. What you can also do is group by seller. So let's say I'm looking to buy, with my Chaos Orbs, I'm looking to buy Exalted Orbs and Divine Orbs. I want to see people who are selling Exalted Orbs and Divine Orbs for Chaos Orbs. So doing this search will bring up people who are doing both of these trades. So I could say, click here and say, I want 1,000 Exalted Orbs and I want 79 Divine Orbs. Click that and it'll pop them a message in game. Another thing you can do is also, if you want to buy Divine Orbs and you have Exalted Orbs and Chaos Orbs and Chance Orbs, you could maybe do a search like that and see what is the best price. I could get these from this person for that much and that from that much, and then do all the conversions that way. There's also fragments and anything that you might not be able to buy with the currency exchange. Here are your fragments, breach stones, breach splinters, and all of these, runes, essences, soul cores, breach catalysts. So this, just click what you need, but a lot of these are already just available on the currency exchange, which I will have a video on, by the way. That's going to be it for this video. This was the first part of this trade site series. The next video is going to be on how to sell your items and also how to price check your items so that you can get the best price for them. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Join the Discord if you'd like to know when the next video is coming out, and subscribe, all of that stuff. Follow me on Twitch. That's going to be it. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe. Catch you in the next video, and bye-bye.